Hello everyone, it's Dr. Lee.
So before you listen to this episode, we've got a little confession to make. A little mea culpa. The technical department on the 75th floor may have made what we call in the biz a cock-up on the sound quality. You can still hear us. Rest assured, people have been fired, P45s have been issued. Next week, we'll be back to our usual sounding self. But if the sound quality dips in this episode, we can only apologise.
Can't get the staff.
Can't get the staff.
No.
Okay, hope you enjoy. Hello, gazers.
Hello gazers. Hello YouTubers.
Hello, podcast gazers.
Hello everybody.
Hello, you.
Hello you.
How are you doing?
I'm very good, are you?
Very good.
Good.
Very good. Got the Trevor McDonald's on.
You have.
To take them off for now while we do the intro.
Take them off for the intro. I'm Dr. Lee Arnott and you are...
Dave Moor.
And together we are the Problematic Gaze, where each episode we take a piece of pop culture from the last 60 years and examine it through the problematic lens, asking ourselves the question, could you get away with it today? And if not, why not?
And before we take a deep dive into our chosen topic, we'll look at the news events of the day, we'll look at the TV cultural landscape, and we'll also look at the pop charts, just to put our chosen topic into context of the year it was made.
Indeed, we are taking the TARDIS back to 1984 this week. Now, last week at the end we said 1982, but unfortunately, because it's the TARDIS, it got wrong. And we're in 1984. And what are we watching this week, Dave?
We're in the UK. We're going to be watching a comedy cult classic, I have to be careful how I say that, called The Young Ones.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. What's your relationship with The Young Ones?
I loved The Young Ones because it reminds me of my big brother when he used to babysit us. I was 10 years old in 1984. We used to have a great time when my brother babysitted. We used to play hide and seek in the dark and we used to play games and stuff, me and my sister and my brother. And then he'd make us watch really gory horror film, which probably shouldn't be watched as a 10-year-old, but as you do. But we also used to watch The Young Ones. And my brother was a bit of a punk at the time as well. So I just remember this kind of anarchic, chaotic comedy about these 4 students, which we'll go into bigger depth later on. But yeah, and I have fond memories of it, nostalgic memories. What about you?
The same, loved it. First series came out in 82 when I was 9. Really enjoyed it. Couldn't quite work out why, because I didn't really understand it. But it was sufficiently slapstick and stupid and surreal, and there were enough imitable characters and catchphrases and stuff that it just became currency in the playground at school, and everybody could do an impression of one of the characters. I bought the single Living Doll they did with Cliff Richards. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Haven't seen it since, so I was quite looking forward to watching it again. But let's cross that bridge when we come to it a bit later.
Absolutely. So shall we put The Young Ones into context by looking at the news events today?
Indeed we shall. And should we cross over to the news desk?
Let's do it.
So here's some international events. We have covered UK events in some of our earlier 1984 episodes. So do check those out. They'll be getting name checked throughout this section. But let's go. So on January the 22nd, Apple run their very first ad for the Macintosh personal computer during the Super Bowl. Inspired by the George Orwell novel 1984 and directed by Ridley Scott, the ad is met with both criticism and praise. Have you ever seen it?
I can't remember it.
It's quite incredible, actually. It's clearly a Ridley Scott production. Looks amazing. And it's very dystopian. And it's got this big room with lots of people in grey robes watching this big brother type face on the screen. And then this woman looking very modern and free comes in with a big sledgehammer and rushes up and smashes the screen. Interestingly, the guy who's playing the big brother type was an actor called David Graham, who was the voice of Parker in the Thunderbirds, and was also crazy Dr. Kerensky in that Doctor Who story we watched, City of Death.
Oh,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, City of Death, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yes, check out our Doctor Who episode on the City of Death if you're a Doctor Who fan.
Yes.
Or if you're not.
So check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Very good. It's very good. Okay, so on February the 4th, sorry, I've overskipped.
You've overskipped.
Yeah, I've gone a bit too...
You got broke.
A bit eager.
Yeah.
Let's get the glasses cleaned. Okay, on January the 27th, American singer Michael Jackson's hair catches fire during the making of a Pepsi commercial. He suffers second-degree burns. Now, have you seen the video?
Yeah, it's a bit grim, isn't it?
Doesn't realise for the first few seconds.
No, people don't. When your hair catches fire, because it just goes so quickly, and you get that stench, don't you?
I know.
Now, there has been posited. This is the beginning of when he gets his addiction to painkillers and stuff. And this is the beginning of his very slow decline. But yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, I think that combined with being a child star and a quite domineering father.
Abused by his father, yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, I think
He was beaten by him,
yes,
wasn't he?
yeah. In happy news, on the 4th of February, Culture Club's Karma Chameleon hits number 1 on the US Billboard chart and remains there for 3 weeks. All parts of the British invasion, of course, Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, and many more.
I just think you can't underestimate what an impact Boy George made on the US.
Absolutely.
It was this guy dressed like a woman or dressed very femininely.
Gender bending,
as he was described at the time.
yeah.
And openly gay. For him to make such a big splash in the US, especially when we're going through a time of conservatism, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was? Do you think it's because he looked inoffensive? Looked quite gentle, I suppose, or what?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess he wasn't alienating anybody because he wasn't, he was just such an enigma that he wasn't overtly sexual or actually gendered in any way, even though you're right. I was a man presenting as a very feminine looking woman. He blurs the kind of divide, I think, sufficiently that it becomes a non-threatening, almost like not asexual, but agendered version of it. Because certainly my mum and dad equally both loved Boy George.
Grandma did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally surprising. And also, he was charming in interviews, wasn't he? And I think, you're right.
He was cheeky rather than overtly sexual.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
There we go. We've dissected Boy George.
Trailblazing, not literally.
No,
yeah,
not literally.
He's downstairs on the table.
Yeah. Where are we? Okay, February the 8th to 19th, the 1984 Winter Olympics are held in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. Now, anything jump out at you about the 1984 Winter Olympics in Sarajevo, Lee?
Bet's Dorval and Dean and Bolero, wasn't it? I watched Bolero again last week. This is when Torval and Dean famously get the first ever perfect score in ice skating for their 4-minute routine to Ravel's Bolero.
Yeah.
And I was watching it last week with a younger guy, a pal, who rediscovered it. I discovered it completely by chance. I was mesmerised by it. I loved it. Watched it again. Had a little tear at the end again. Oh my God. Recreated this on my roller boots, obviously, many times. Me and Shirley from Creative recreated Bolero on our office chairs on Wine O'Clock Fridays. Any times when we were supposed to be working, but Shirley won't mind me saying that.
No, Shirley's from Creative
Yes,
Department,
she
isn't
is.
she?
Yeah.
At PD Towers.
Yeah.
For our YouTubers who don't know, we've got a huge skyscraper devoted to putting this podcast together.
Yeah. Yeah, floors upon floors of people beavering away to bring the problematic age to the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now we're at our country retreat, PG Manor.
Yeah.
Yeah, out in the Hertfordshire countryside, just north of London.
Yeah.
We like to get away from it, don't we, sometimes? Just away from the hustle and bustle and the noise.
We do.
The emails, a lot of people asking us creative questions.
Phones
things.
ringing, big computer banks with spools of tape
Yeah.
spinning around, lights flashing everywhere.
It's like to be focused on what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is giving international events of 1984. That's what we're doing at the moment.
Carry on.
So, on April the 1st, this is not an April Fool, but God, this is bleak. One day before his 45th birthday, Marvin Gaye dies. The famous singer intervenes in an argument between his parents and is shot by his own father. That's Shakespearean, isn't it?
It really is.
Beautiful man, beautiful voice. 45?
He was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
That guy, pioneering in his own way. The song What's Going On really highlighted social issues at the time.
Yes, it did.
And apparently that was the last thing he said.
Oh, stop it.
Sorry. God bless you, Marvin. Okay, so let's move to the 1984 Summer Olympics this time, when on May the 8th, the Soviet Union announces that it will boycott the Olympics.
Cold War fever hitting here. Soviet Union against the USA. Everyone will be shitting themselves. There's going to be a nuclear war. We're going to talk about that in a bit.
Yes.
On June the 22nd, Virgin Atlantic makes its inaugural flight.
You ever been on Virgin Atlantic?
Yes, I have. Many years ago. Can't remember anything about it. Nice uniforms.
Nice uniforms.
They also have very designed uniforms, like trendy.
Yeah. Okay, now back to the Summer Olympics. So on July the 28th to the 12th of August, that's when they were held. And then one of the most controversial moments is when a barefoot South African runner, Zola Budd, collides with the American Mary Decker in the 3,000 metres final. Do you remember she was crying, wasn't she, Mary Decker?
Yeah.
And all this controversy about this South African. Who does she think she is, tripping up our Americans stuff?
Yeah.
Do you know what Zola Budd's favourite song is?
What?
It's a long way to Tripoli. I've been hanging on to that 41.
Wow.
You laugh though, so it's worth it.
Just out of politeness, Dave.
Crack on.
On September the 26th, the United Kingdom and the People's Republic of China signed the initial agreement to return Hong Kong to China, which will happen in 1997. Remember watching that?
Yeah, I do. The handover.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris Patton, the last governor of Hong Kong.
Last gasps of empire.
Okay, sad news here, really. On October the 23rd, the world learns about the famine in Ethiopia when Michael Burke presents a moving film piece from the site of the famine where thousands of people have already died and as many as 10 million more lives are at risk.
Gosh.
I was 10 at the time, so I saw these images, these poor kids just skin and bone. Obviously, it didn't really resonate with me. I saw there were horrible pictures, but I couldn't comprehend the scope of what was going on. And also, it just seemed could almost be on a different planet to a 10-year-old. It was just something that was happening so far away.
Yeah.
It didn't affect me. Obviously, this film report led quite directly to what happened next.
Yeah, Band-Aid. Do they know Christmas gets released that year? And then Live Aid the year after. It's the 40th anniversary of Live Aid this year, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, God, it's huge. It's the first time there's been this massive kind of charity fundraising thing in the UK. And of course, it will happen across the world as well. We are the world in America, don't we? I remember watching that footage and just being horrified, actually. On October the 26th, the science fiction action film The Terminator premieres. It's directed by James Cameron and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton. And you can hear our take on The Terminator in our episode, which is on The Terminator. And it's called The Terminator.
Yeah, love that film. Okay, so again in the States on November the 6th, there's a presidential election where the incumbent Republican President Ronald Reagan defeats Democratic former Vice President Walter F. Mondale. Anyone remember him? With 59% of the popular vote, the highest since Richard Nixon's 61% popular vote in 1972. So Reagan's second term,
right in the middle of Reaganomics,
Yeah.
Reaganism. This is
like
really
conservatism, the AIDS crisis about to rear its ugly head as well.
Yeah, neoliberalism taking hold. The evangelicals are starting to get hold in America. Yeah, it's a great time if you're white and straight and traditional. It's a shit time if you're anything other than that. That was 1984. Should we have a look at some of the telly that was going on in the same year?
Let's look at the TV landscape that the young ones landed in 1984. So why don't we first have a look at the top 10 of all of 1984 in the UK?
Number 10 is Miss World, 1984. We've talked again before how huge Miss World was.
Really was.
Broadcast 15th of November, it gets 17 million viewers. Nothing gets below 17 million viewers in the top 10 of 1984, which is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and films play a major part of the top 10 as well. Number 9, Mary Poppins on Christmas Day, 17.35 million.
Wow. Number 8, another popular episode of the series Minder, George Cole and Dennis Waterman.
Yes. That's right.
George Cole is a used car salesman.
That's right. Wheeler dealer, gift of the gab kind of guy, and he employs Dennis Waterman, who's kind of early to look after him and shield him from
He's Minder.
Ne'er-do-wells and things. Yeah. Okay, number 7, Bullseye, which is a darts-based quiz show, which for anyone outside
the US.
Anyone outside the UK, if you haven't seen an episode of Bullseye, then please just YouTube it because there are so many episodes on there. It's a sight to behold.
It's a sight to behold.
The host, Jim Bowen, is amazing / later on quite controversial figure himself.
And we also have an episode on it, although maybe don't listen to it because it's one of our early ones when I'm in a wardrobe and we act like we've never met each other in our lives.
Oh, we're like 1930s newsreaders, aren't we? Just extremely polite.
Extremely polite.
Reading facts.
And at number 6 is the film Kramer versus Kramer. I never saw Kramer versus Kramer. I got no interest at all.
The only thing I know about Kramer versus Kramer is that when Dustin Hoffman was supposed to hit Meryl Streep, did it for real?
No, of course he did.
Or just bashed loads of glasses off a table and wasn't directed to and was just a little bit out of control. And Meryl being Meryl.
Professional.
Meryl. Didn't like it.
Not surprised.
Number 5. The film Airplane, which is right up our street.
Much more of us.
Actually resembles like maybe an American version of The Young Ones in a little way about the visual side of it, slapstick elements of it, and the silliness of it, but with huge amount of charm as well.
Yeah. Number 4 is an episode of the sitcom Porridge, broadcast the 27th of December, obviously set in a prison.
Yes, where I got married.
You got married in prison?
I did.
I knew that conviction wasn't spent. I bloody knew it.
Okay, stop. It's nothing to do with that. Basically, when I married my wonderful husband, we got married in a building that originally was a prison, and was the prison, the exterior shots, that porridge, which is set in a prison, was shot, and it's now been converted into a register office. So YouTubers and gazers, I haven't been in prison for anything at all.
No.
I am safe to work with children and animals, but that is the connection there.
Yes.
Okay, can we move swiftly on, please?
Yes. We all got a picture taken in front of that door, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Escaping the prison. Yeah, so it's a big film at number 3, isn't it?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, back in the days when you had to wait 2 years after the film being in the cinema for it to come on telly.
Yeah, this was about the advent of VCRs, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a VHS by 1984 because we bought it just in time for the Five Doctors, which was November 1983. So we definitely had a video in 1984.
We had a video shop in my hometown called Movie Land. It was so exotic when your parents said, "Oh, you can get a video out tonight."
Yeah, those covers are just seared into my brain. So that's why I really got into horror as well. Obviously, Nana showed me the pirate horror films from the club, but just those covers often had no resemblance to the actual films.
Yeah.
Of course, kids could just get anything. You didn't have to have a parental permission. There's no kind of ratings for VHS at that point. Yeah. The things I've seen, my God, how sick they would. Number 2 was an episode of Corrie. That's per.
Number 1 is the Royal Variety Performance for 1984 from November. 20.55 million viewers. Gosh, now, do you remember the Royal Variety Performance?
Yeah, they were always shit.
Well, you went through a lot of shit to get to the good stuff, didn't you?
You did. For every appearance by the Golden Girls, there's some 2-bit Blackpool juggler or ventriloquist, isn't there? For every appearance by Shirley Bassey, Lily Savage, you got to sit through some absolute dross. Although I did always imagine myself on the variety performance.
There was the lineup at the end when the Queen used to come down and meet all the stars and things.
And I used to picture myself in that, giving a little courtesy to the Queen, having a little chat. Yeah, to clap my bit. And I imagined myself at the end of the whole thing when they beckon up to the royal box. I imagined myself leading the whole company in that. Just thinking, yeah, it'd be fantastic. And then went outside and did Bolero on my roller boots. So that's me as an 11-year-old.
Idyllic childhood in my eyes.
Innocent.
Yeah.
Innocent. Yeah.
Do you still have arguments in your head with people? Or do you still, when you're going to sleep at night, have scenarios in your head?
What kind of scenarios?
Well, just imagine that you're on a talk show or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you've been interviewed and you're a global megastar or something.
Yeah, it's not just when I'm sleeping.
Oh, all the time. You might need to see somebody about that.
Don't you?
No. Too busy.
You just let me into that, didn't you?
Working dad,
Trying to expose
Father
me.
of 2.
Oh, give over.
Father of 2 dogs. That's to be said.
Yeah.
Okay, TV events. Pat Phoenix leaves Coronation Street on the 4th of January for the final time as Elsie Tanner, having been in the show since its inception in 1960, and then the actress peacefully died in her sleep at the age of 62 2 years later. She was a class act, Elsie Tanner, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appears in the very first episode, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Fallen woman, single mom, and just a spitfire.
Absolute spitfire. You wouldn't want to cross Elsie Tanner.
No.
Many tried.
Many tried. Many failed.
Yes.
Yeah. On the 20th of January, Grange Hill airs an episode in which the character of Jeremy Irvine dies in a swimming pool stunt gone wrong. Traumatised me, that did.
I don't remember it.
Jeremy dead. You just see his body sinking down at the bottom of the pool. I think that's the last shot, or the last shot of somebody's face. But
I mean, Grange Hill could be quite gratuitous and traumatising for 10-year-old, 11-year-olds.
Absolutely.
I remember Zammo having his drug overdose on heroin.
Yeah. Just say no.
Hard hitting.
Yeah.
Just say no.
Yeah.
They went to the White House to meet Ronald Reagan, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I spoke to Roland, Jeff Flax plays Roland about it. A few years back at a convention, he was saying it was just absolutely level standards. In other words, just like, what the hell are we doing here? And the story of Roland having a joint in the White House are completely fake, false. He said there's no way you can get anything in there.
An urban legend.
Urban legend.
Yeah.
Quite a good one,
trying to help you, Roland.
Yeah. Imagine, quite a good urban legend to be part of, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, on the 30th of January, the long-running comedy sketch show, Alas, Smith and Jones, starring Mel Smith and Griff Rhys-Jones, makes its debut in BBC Two. Now, we're going to be talking about Mel Smith and Griff Rhys-Jones a bit later on, aren't we?
We will indeed.
Yeah.
Another debut is on the 26th of February when the long-running satirical public comedy series Spitting Image begins on ITV. Used to love Spitting Image, thought it was hilarious. Yeah, it was great. It was really funny. It was clever. They're going to have a huge hit in the charts with the Chicken song, aren't they? Because this is the era of black lace.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
I love Chicken Song. Okay, another one I loved was the game show The Price is Right, which on the 24th of March makes its UK debut on ITV, presented by Leslie Crowther. Do you remember that?
I do. Come on down, Dave Moore. Come on down. Fantastic.
Do you remember seeing the outtake from the American version where a woman walked down and the boob tube fell down, so she was just jiggling like that?
No, God, love
Yeah,
her. Never
so-
wear a boob tube if you've got to put your arms in the air.
No.
On the 31st of March, pop group Matt Bianco infamously appear on BBC One's Saturday morning kids show, Saturday Superstore, when a phone-in caller verbally abuses them by calling them a bunch of wankers live on air. I remember that again.
I don't remember that one, but I do remember the five-star episode.
Yeah, that must have been like 3 years after this.
Right.
Yeah. Why you so shit? Sarah Green, unflappable, of course, professional.
Absolutely. Okay, on the 6th of May, the debut of the long-running light entertainment series Surprise, Surprise on ITV.
You're unexpected hits between the eyes. Let's not do that anymore. 7th of June, don't have nightmares, because the first edition of Crime Watch UK is broadcast on BBC One. The first case to be featured is the murder of Colette Aram, which had occurred the previous year. That case is going to get solved in 2009 when a man gets charged with her murder.
I bet they were really disappointed that they didn't crack the case on the first episode.
Yeah.
Because they're quite mercenary, aren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, so on the 30th of July, ITV begins airing Kenneth Johnston's American science fiction miniseries V and V, The Final Battle. The alien invasion drama is shown over 5 consecutive nights. I remember this.
Were you watching the Olympics? Were we shite? Were we watching V? It was amazing, wasn't it?
Remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was genuinely one of the most shocking TV moments, I think, ever. When the face got peeled, saw a little red eye. Oh, it was just great. Robin with her alien babies.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. So well done.
Really well done.
Yeah. Let's not forget Diana. It was just like,
fabulous, wasn't
yeah,
she?
casting that kind of 80s super bitches of soaps, and V has their own in the version of Diana.
And 23rd of September, Barry Hines' acclaimed Threads airs on BBC Two, produced by BBC and Nine Network Australia. The one-off TV drama depicts the impact of a nuclear war in Britain, and it'll go on to win 4 BAFTA awards, including Best Single Drama. Now, for people who haven't seen Threads, okay, if you
Buckle in.
I think the threat of nuclear war is quite high at the moment, isn't it? There's a lot of talk about it. And what astounds me is everybody on TikTok and Instagram saying, this is what I'm going to do when there's nuclear war. And thinks, no, we're all going to die, basically. Yeah. And you're better off just watching it fall on top of your head than trying to prepare for it.
Yes.
And it really is, it's just so hard-hitting. It's the filmic side of it is just so grainy and gritty and realistic, isn't it? It just follows a regular family in the event of the Russians dropping a nuclear bomb over Sheffield, which is the kind of the generic northern city town in the UK. It's so harrowing. Apparently Ronald Reagan saw it.
Yes.
And it really hit home to him. Obviously, he was a main player in this Cold War game, wasn't he?
Did you hear that the creators of adolescent Netflix drama that everyone was talking about earlier in the year are remaking Threads?
Yes,
yeah.
I heard that, yeah.
Well, I shall watch it, but it's going to be grim.
Yeah.
Not a happy ending, spoiler alert.
They've got a lot to live up to, that's all I can say.
Yes, they have. On the 21st of December, children's programme Crackerjack. Thank you. Yeah. Ends after 29 series and nearly 3 decades. A staple of kids' shows, Crackerjack. It was kids doing silly games and stuff.
Was that Stu Francis?
Stu Francis. Could crush a grape.
Could duff a daffodil.
Could jump off a egg box or something like that, yeah.
Jump over a doll's house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many more Stu Francis things.
No. People aren't going to have a clue what we're talking about.
Well, people of a certain age.
Yeah.
Younger people.
Okay, so Boxing Day, Joan Hickson makes her debut as Agatha Christie's Miss Marple in BBC One's eponymous series with the first of a 3-part adaptation, The Body in the Library.
I remember watching that. Never forget your first Miss Marple, dear.
No, you don't.
Like your first Doctor Who, isn't it?
She's our Miss Marple.
She's our Miss Marple.
You know, Geraldine Somerville. No, that's the wrong Geraldine.
Yeah,
Geraldine McEwen.
Yeah.
Jill Whitfield. Julie Mackenzie.
Yeah.
All great in the parts. But
yeah. Even Margaret Rutherford, great. But for us, it's Joan, isn't it?
Joan Hickson.
Yeah. Good. That was telly. If you have a look at what was in the top 20 in the music charts.
So this is the official singles charts for the UK, week commencing 6th of May 1984, which was the week that the Young Ones episode we watched transmitted for the first time.
Indeed. Confidence in?
Yeah, I think so. 1984, it's when we're starting to pay attention to the chart things. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, so number 20, Just Be Good to Me, the SOS Band.
Brilliant song, but only got into it years later.
Beats International.
Yeah, when I was at uni, I heard Just Be Good to Me, the SOS Band. I was like, oh my God, this is the Beats International song. But then Anna obviously loved this version, clearly. Number 19, Stone Cold Classic, Ain't Nobody, Rufus and Shaka Khan. Hello.
Absolutely. Another Stone Cold Classic. Number 18, Let's Hear It for the Boy, Niece Williams.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not a Stone Cold Classic, but a good one.
It is. I think it's a classic, yeah. Number 17, To All the Girls I've Loved Before, by two Lotharios, Julio Iglesias and Willie Nelson. Julio, for sure. Willie, not so much.
God bless you, Willie.
God bless you, Willie. God bless you, Willie.
We love Willie. Number 16, Somebody Else's Guy, Jocelyn Brown.
Another classic I got to new years later. Wasn't into it at all in 1984. Now one of my favourite ever songs.
There was a kind of a soul funk kind of theme going on at this time, isn't
really
there?
enjoying it, yeah.
Yeah.
At number 15 is Kool and the Gang, In the Heart. Don't remember that one.
No. Number 14, I'm Falling, and they certainly are falling down the charts. The Bluebells. Kind of sounded a little bit Kid Jensen.
Yeah, I like it. Number 13, Nick Kershal's there with Dancing Girls. Don't know that song.
No. Number 12, Love Games, Belle and the Devotions.
This was our Eurovision entry for this year. The Lebanon by the Human League at number 11. The Lebanon.
Is that how it goes?
I think so. Not one of them all stellar productions.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Oh, no, that's the name of the song. Number 10, Hello, Lionel Richie.
Oh, that's obviously been number one, hasn't it?
Is that the one with the video with the blind lady?
The blind lady, yeah. I mean, we are one day going to do a special episode, aren't we, on dodgy music videos, of which this video will be in amongst it, for sure.
If you haven't seen it, guys, just Google it.
Oh, God, it's just an abomination.
Yeah.
Number 9, Footloose, Kenny Loggins, obviously from the film. Great.
Love that song.
Great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Number 8, Don't Tell Me, Blancmange.
Don't know it.
No.
Probably know it if I heard it, but doesn't spring to mind.
No.
At number 7, the Flying Pickets, When You're Young and in Love. Flying Pickets, obviously named after Flying Pickets as part of the miners' strikes, which are going on at this point in the UK.
Is that right? Is that what they were named after?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, One Love, People Get Ready, Bob Marley and the Wailers. Again, another classic. There's a lot of classics in this one.
There really are. Yeah. Number 5, Locomotion by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. I won't repeat my orchestral man who was in the dark joke from an episode last week. Was it?
Might be. Who knows?
Can't remember.
Okay. Stop Press. Number 4, Automatic. The
Pointer Sisters. Classic.
Now, it's only recently that I realised it wasn't a man singing this song.
Me too.
One of the Pointer Sisters singing in a really low register.
Very low register. Yeah. Great song.
I felt a little bit foolish when I found out it was actually one of the Pointer Sisters, the clue in the title.
Yeah. Number 3, I Want to Break Free by Queen. This is Queen's Imperial phase, isn't it? Their second Imperial phase.
Yeah. At number 2, Against All Odds, Take a Look at Me Now, Phil Collins. Yes,
that's a high film, isn't it? It's with Her from the Thornbirds, also out this year. And I forgot what it was called, but yeah, it was a big theme for a romantic drama.
Okay. So to the research department about that one.
Yeah. Number 1, have a look.
Yeah.
Oh, number 1 is Duran Duran, The Reflex. Were you a Duran fan?
Not at the time. I appreciate their music, but no, not huge. So they were big heartthrobs, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
A lot of the girls had to pick their favourite one who they liked.
Yeah, John Taylor for me.
Was it?
Yeah, every day.
I don't even know who the others are.
Simon Le Bon. Took his wife's name. His wife's called Yasmin Le Bon, took her name. Anyway, good.
Is that correct?
It's Lab Fab, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
That's what Bubble said.
Yes, Fab. Yeah.
Anyway, Duran number 1, quite a good chart, I thought.
Really
I've
good
been
chart,
very happy
actually.
spinning around to that.
We look at some charts around these years.
Nothing.
There are a lot of old shite out there, but we don't know any of them.
Ultravox, every single one. Yeah.
Yeah, but May 1984, obviously the time when they just dropped a load of Stone Cold classics.
Yeah. Good.
Right then. Okay. Are we gearing up for it?
Let's go to the matter in hand, Dave.
Okay.
As we look at the other ones.
So, The Young Ones from 1984, Series 2, Episode 1.
Might tell us a bit about it, Dave.
I will do. The Young Ones is a British sitcom written by Rick Mayall, Ben Elton and Lisa Mayer, starring Adrian Edmondson, Rick Mayall himself, Nigel Planer and Christopher Ryan, with Alexis Sale in little cameo roles. It was first broadcast on the BBC Two in 1982, and it ran for 2 seasons. The show focused on the lives of 4 dissimilar students and their landlord's family on different plots that often included anarchic, offbeat, surreal humour. The show often included slapstick gags, visual humour and surreal jokes, sometimes acted out by puppets, with each episode also featuring a notable selection of guest stars and musical numbers from various performers. So that's the bones of it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened in this episode?
So this episode is called Bambi and sees the boys firstly visit a laundrette, since none of them have washed since 1981, although one of Vivian's mutant socks has to be killed first before they can get there. Neil remembers they've been invited to represent Scumbag College on University Challenge, and the 4 take a train up to Granada Studios. While on the train, Neil's busy cramming his revision in, Rick is sulking, and Vivian gets decapitated. In the studio, they play against the incredibly posh Footlights College team, but the event ends in chaos, an explosion, and then the surprise appearance of a giant chocolate eclair. Discuss.
Just by that description of the episode, I think our gazers are going to think that all sounds a bit surreal.
Yes.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was surreal.
Yeah.
We had a lot of traditional sitcoms at the time, which were studio-based, multi-camera, stuff like The Good Life.
Terry and June. Yeah.
And all that kind of thing. And it followed that format to a basic extent, but then went further.
Yeah.
In the writing, it was very surreal, off the wall, pretty anarchic.
Yes.
And then there's another set piece and another set piece.
Yes.
Which added to the kind of anarchic element to it and stuff.
Yeah, I think anarchic is a good word because it's very much a rejoinder to those middle class comedies, which were all that was on TV at the time. And it's really representative of that new wave of comedy that was coming through, which was a reaction against the old school comedy, the Bernard Mannings, the Jim Davisons, etc., who used to punch down. Whereas this new wave are very much about punching up, quite political. But I love the surrealism in this. It was just surreal. So we get Vivian's sock escaping. There's a lot of puppetry in this, isn't there? There's talking objects on shelves and stuff. We have that great side swerve into Robbie Coltrane as this Victorian doctor who's actually got the programme under a microscope. And it's his chocolate eclair, which makes a big, dramatic, giant appearance at the end.
We've got elephants, we've got pigs.
We've got pigs. It's just, as we've discussed many times, nothing ages quite like humour does. And yes, fair enough. Some of the stuff is not funny these days. It's not funny to talk about bogies anymore or bottom burps. But contextually, it was hilarious. The fact that they're swearing in a sitcom is just incredible. The breaking of those middle class standards and mores, which so proliferated. And in one episode, they actually have the Good Life titles, don't they? And then they burst through them and it goes meta moment. But one thing I really loved about it is that it really sets this at the kind of birth of what we would call political correctness. And very early on, Vivian makes comment about a woman's enormous tits. And Rick says, Vivian, you stop being so sexist. They're called breasts and everybody has them. And again, it's part of that new wave of comedy, which says, actually, it's not that funny to take the piss out of women or blah, 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 whatever. And Rick actually says at one point, I believe some of the more politically unsound call her that. So it's not even called politically correct at this point. It's proper at its infancy. They called a character, they said old yellow face, which of course nowadays means a white actor putting on Asian makeup. But actually in those days, nothing at all about it. And it's actually because that's when she gets drunk at parties, her face goes yellow. But it's interesting, isn't it, how this is at the cusp of what we would now term PC, what we would call woke.
But I think it is. But also I feel as though it sent it up a little way as well about the absurdity of it. Rick's character, we should talk about the individual characters, but Rick's character, he likes to see himself as politically correct, very left-wing, right on, bordering on socialist. He calls himself the people's poet at one point. So he's very much sending up that kind of student who just thinks they're really right on and quite self-important. arrogant and self-righteous to the point of ridiculousness to a certain extent. I thought that was really interesting in Rick's character.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a political show, isn't it? In a way that, again, a lot of that middle-class comedy, Terry and June, was never political. And it struck me of those old sitcoms like Steptoe and Son, Till Death Us Do Part. We have Alexi Sale, as you say, who's doing a cameo. In this episode, he appears as a train driver. He starts talking about revolutionary figures, revolutionary socialism, and
the class system. How the poshos taking over.
He talks about the establishment. You get a top job, and when you get a top job, you get an interest in sexual perversity, something like that. So there's a real class digs, there's a socialism digs. I was surprised at the political aspect of it.
Also digs the BBC for this to be broadcast on the BBC as well. And apparently when they made it, they presented it to the BBC and they were absolutely flabbergasted. They just had never seen anything like it. And they were reluctant to show it. But it was only because of the launch of Channel 4 that they thought, well, actually, we need something to compete against it. So they put it on, and then the rest is history. But they were really reluctant. Those were in the days when people said, oh, can we make a comedy show? And then they got given the money and then just go away and do it. Bring it to us when it's finished kind of vibe going on. French and Saunders have talked about that as well. When I watched it as a kid, all the kind of the political aspects of it went up my head.
Me too.
Whenever Alexis Sale came on, I have to say, when I watched it as a kid, it was always
the boring bit. Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you watch it now, it's like, okay, this is
really
saying something.
Yeah.
It's talking about the British class system, about elitism, about people at the bottom being kicked and abused and everything. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
And of course, there is a whole class divide in this when we get to University Challenge and we meet the Footlights from Cambridge, and they're so posh, and we're going to get the oiks. There's a real class element to it in the last act of this episode. They talk about becoming the chairman of British Rail or the Director General of the BBC because they're part of the establishment and because mummy and daddy are rich and they can do whatever they want. At one point, one says, "What ho, darky?" And it was a bit like, oh God. But again, that's because Ben Elton's one of the writers on this and he's very PC. And there's one of the characters, Bamber Gascoigne, played by Griffith Jones, actually says to the four guys, the posh kids win, they always do, which is a proper class struggle thing right there, isn't it? It was, should we talk about the cast?
Yes, let's do it. So let's touch on Rick, haven't we, what he was about, played by Rick Mail. Let's talk about Neil, because he was one of my favourites.
Yes, Neil, of course, Nigel Planer.
Yeah.
We'll have a #1 single with A Hole in My Shoe. He's the hippie. It's funny, these stereotypes, aren't they? That were around in the early 80s. So Rick, as you say, is the pretentious socialist poet who thinks he's Byron. Neil is a hippie in the old school, very classic sense of the word.
Yes.
Vivian is punk.
Very anarchic.
Very big. And Mike is the suave glide boy.
Who I could never work out whether he was an actual student or he was just pretending to be a student to rip off the benefit system.
Yeah, because he looks like 20 years older than everybody else, doesn't he? Mike was always my least favourite.
Yeah, I felt so. It felt as though he was the father figure, wasn't he? He was a sensible one.
But he was also the only one I fancied.
Really?
Yeah, maybe that's why.
I quite fancied Vivian.
Did you?
Right.
But also, this episode is littered with a veritable who's who.
As most of the episodes were.
Of the faces of this new wave of comedy at the time. So we have Smith and Jones already mentioned. We've got Robbie Coltrane.
Yeah, Tony Robinson.
The Footlights are Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, Emma Thompson and Ben Elton.
Yeah.
Emma Thompson in the ones.
It was quite interesting because they represent the rich, elite, aristocratic. Said it was Oxbridge, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's like they're quite broad with it. But actually, Fry, Laurie and Thompson were actually from that higher echelon.
Yeah. I think Ben Elton was as well.
It's quite interesting to see them setting themselves up in that way.
There is that kind of squaring that circle, aren't they, when they're actually quite establishment figures themselves, even though they're anarchic and pushing against it, but they're only able to be anarchic and push against it because they're part of it. But God, this episode is scuzzy. It's so grotty.
Yeah, and for anyone who hasn't seen the young ones, it's set in the student house, and boy, oh boy, it's very representative of a student house from the 80s and the 90s. I think we both lived in some places like this. Not trying to generalise students, but they are typically not very tidy. It's like kids away from home for the first time having to look after themselves. So there will be mould in the fridge, there will be washing piled up, but this is accentuated the max, isn't it? It's
absolutely
hideous.
yeah, hideous. I mean, Neil comes in at one point, tips the bin on the table and says, "This is where your tea is." And then the whole thing, they have to go to the laundrette because the last time we went was 3 years ago. And it's like that shot of them walking into the laundrette and on the floor were like Vivian's skid-marked knickers, folding them in. It's so disgusting. Neil is so disgusting to look at him. You can just
Tell him
smell
he
him.
smells.
Yeah, you can just smell him, can't you? He's so horrible. And one thing I also loved was the phone just ringing all the time. And I was in halls of residence in the first year, and if the phone rang, nobody would answer it because you have to go and get somebody who was in the room, the other end of the corridor. So if it was your turn to use the phone and it was ringing, you'd be like, oh, fuck. You'd have to hang around just slightly away from it, wait for it to stop ringing, then jump in quickly and ring. Yeah.
Let's talk about the physical comedy in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of it, isn't there?
Yeah.
It really made me chuckle. Vivian eating the dead rat is one of the most repulsive, but it is also really funny. You've already mentioned, it's a bit dodgy because he says he's going to kill himself, but Rick Mail putting those pills in his mouth and just being really aggressive with it was hilarious. When they all go upstairs and come back to downstairs dressed as each other.
Yeah.
And they're all doing this character work as each other. And it's so clever and it's so funny, isn't it? And again, it's just another kind of level of that surrealism, which really highlights the show. And then, of course, Vivian's beheading, his decapitation.
My favourite part of the physical comedy was at the University Challenge. We all know when University Challenge is filmed, they're sat side by side in rows, aren't they?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but obviously they split the screen, so one of the teams is above the other.
Yeah.
And that's obviously done in the graphics department, etc. But in this, they actually physically built the sets on top of each other, which led to some really good physical comedy of Vivian put his foot through, throwing a bomb and blowing them up. And then, as you say at the end, a giant chocolate eclair, obviously foam or sponge, crashing down on them.
Yeah.
Also, what I thought was great, it's not exactly physical comedy, but that's a real element of them in their lives being under an actual microscope and being the size of amoebas, and there's Robbie Coltrane in an alternate universe looking down at them, eating a sticky bun and it falling down on them in giant mode. I just thought that was just really funny. And in general, what I thought about this is if you're a student in 1984, and you probably, as students do, have a bit of the old spliff.
Yeah.
If you watched this when you were really stoned, this would be a completely different experience. Yeah. And all this kind of metaphysical talk in this episode would probably just blow your mind. Yeah. And then you'd probably end up thinking, are we just as small as amoebas? Are we being absurd by some greater god or something, or Robbie Coltrane in this instance? Yeah. But I thought that was really fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
And genuinely remember thinking that on University Challenge that the sets were on top of each other. And this did not disabuse me of that notion until I was in my 20s maybe, and I realised that actually no, they're side by side and it's going to be ridiculous and not on top of each other. So I was still thinking, and this actually just made it, oh well, that's true then. They do sit on top of each other. I wonder how they decide who goes on top.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a question you ask yourself a lot, isn't it?
No. I was struck by, obviously, in the middle of it, you get Motorhead doing Ace of Spades, little musical cabaret, great song. I love that kind of, again, something we've got a rock act in the middle of the studio doing it. And as you said earlier, you get a lot of big names doing this. And I was also struck how much actually of an impact this clearly had made on my 11-year-old self, because when Rick asked the question, hands up, who likes me? And everybody puts their hands right on the floor. I still do that.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's where it comes from. My 11-year-old self just took all this on board and just took it and still uses it. Yeah.
Let's talk about Neil, because Neil, played by Nigel Planer, he was my favourite when I was a kid watching it. Maybe not so much now. He's the emotional punchback, isn't he?
Yeah.
Everybody punches down on Neil.
Yes.
I mean, they're all underdogs to a certain extent, but Neil
is the bottom of the pile.
Is the bottom of the pile, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then, of course, he went on, like we talked earlier about, to release a single, Hole in My Shoe. I've just got like a little affinity towards Neil.
The picked on one.
The picked on one. I don't know if it's necessarily that. Rick is picked on just as much.
Yeah, really. But Rick's got thick skin, and Rick is so egocentric that he doesn't give a shit, does he? Whereas Neil is obviously trying to care for everything and just gets it spat back in his face all the time. Mike's keep the top dog, isn't he? The cool, kind of calm, obviously 20 years older than the other ones. Yeah, Neil's bottom of the pile, isn't he? I don't think the show's trying to make any kind of claims on male relationships and intra-male kind of hierarchies and stuff.
No.
But clearly there is a hierarchy at work here. But despite Vivian's comments about tits at the beginning of the episode, none of them are being used as exemplars of masculinity in any way.
No.
They are all kind of ludicrous in their own wrapped up world.
Yeah.
God, they're all kind of pretty tragic, aren't they, really, if you look at them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're that age and you're a student, and I think we're all quite tragic in a way.
Yes, we can take ourselves very seriously when you're young and that age, can't we? And you think it's really important, the fight that you're on, the struggle that you're on.
Earnest and self-righteous and things.
Yeah.
And when you look back on it, you just think, God, I was just flailing around trying to keep my head above water.
Shut up, will you stop talking?
I know. It's funny. It does remind me of my student days. Every tiny thing would be a massive thing. You would always be worried about what other people thought about you, about the image you were presenting. Yeah. I always remember at university joining different clubs just to see if I fit in, and actually none of them really were that interesting.
Maybe the Amdram Club.
Yeah, just rather be out drinking with my mates, really.
Yeah. I haven't got anything more to say on the young ones. I really enjoyed it. Have you got any more points to bring up?
I'm just trying to think about any problematic elements of it. And I think what we talked about before about the suicide scene probably wouldn't have been done now. And then there's one point where Rick calls Neil a spasmo.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes, he wouldn't do that now either. Yeah. But it has its PC cake and eats it at the same time, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It addresses political non-correctness in the script, doesn't it?
And what I like is that it's charming.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Despite it being so scuzzy and grotty and skid-marked underpants a go-go, it's charming, isn't it? It has got a real charm. Is that because of the nostalgia thing? Is that because it's stuck in a 1984 time bubble?
I think it's because it doesn't take itself too seriously. Yeah. It's filmed before a live studio audience, which I think helps. All the actors are really enjoying what they're doing. Yeah. And the fact that it's a little bit anarchic just adds to it, because you just don't know which direction it's going to go. It's not safe at all. Yeah. And also because it was so new. Yeah. It was such a swerve away from what we'd said about the traditional kind of sitcoms. Yeah. And it spoke to a younger generation. And the fact that it took the piss out of itself, took the piss out of BBC, and there was that certain kind of class element to it as well. I just that all added to this kind of charm of it. And I don't think it's a nostalgic tinge, because when I watched this, I thought, okay, this is going to be really dated and the humour's not going to be there. And some of it doesn't land. Like some of the things that we've watched, where just, that is consigned to the dustbin of the past. Yeah. Whereas this, I still found it fresh and I still found it funny. Yeah. Again, like some of the jokes a bit dated, but I just felt it was fun. Yeah. Yeah. Silly. Absolutely. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So what would you give it out of 10? I would give it 8 giant foam chocolate eclairs out of 10. I think I would give it the same, actually. It's nudging up to a 9, actually. 8 skid-marked underpants out of 10. Good. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And as you say, not problematic, still fresh, still current, still bizarre enough and surreal enough to appeal to modern eyes, I guess. Yeah. Very good. Yes. That was the young ones. Yeah. So where's the Teletardis? Where's the Teletard? It's taking us to next week, Don. We're going across the pond next week to back in the glory days before everything turned. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. To 1976. The long hot summer of 1976. Yes. What are we looking at? We're going to look at 3 pioneering ladies. Yeah. Or, as they're described, girls. 3 little girls. 3 little girls. Trained at the police academy. You can already see where this is heading. We can. Yeah. So we're going to be looking at an episode of Charlie's Angel. I'm so excited. Farrah Fawcett. Catherine Smith, Be Still My Beating Heart. The Flick. Yeah. So I'm wondering what this episode is going to unearth. What's the episode called? Angels in Chains. Angels in Chains. Yeah. Make that what you will. Yeah. It is on YouTube. We'll put a link in our show notes. Yeah. So, yes, until next week. Yeah. Charlie's Angels. And I'm off to the laundrette just to try and sort those old pants out, darling. What are you up to? I'm going to go and root around the bin and see what we can have for our lunch. Lovely. Yes. Until next time. Au reservoir.